If you shower or brush your teeth or try to make your hair look presentable, here's some good news. Dollar Shave Club has a lot of stuff to help you out. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel, even a wipe that leaves your tush feeling tingly clean. All of Dollar Shave Club's products are made with top-shelf ingredients that won't break your budget. You'll feel the difference. Plus, shipping is free with your membership. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club's products for just $5. You can get their Daily Essential Starter Set. It comes with Body Cleanser, One Wipe Charlie's, their amazing butt wipes, and their world-famous shave butter. And their best razor, the 6-Blade Executive. Keep the blades coming for a few more bucks a month and add in a shampoo, toothpaste, or anything else you need. Check it all out at dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Chad.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Putting America first, it hasn't happened in a lot of decades. We're putting them first. We're taking care of ourselves for a change, folks. But radical Democrats want to turn back the clock. Power-hungry globalists. You know what a globalist is, right? You know what a globalist is. A globalist is a person that wants the globe to do well, frankly, not caring about our country so much. And you know what? We can't have that. You know, they have a word. It sort of became old-fashioned. It's called a nationalist. And I say, really, we're not supposed to use that word. You know what I am? I'm a nationalist, okay? I'm a nationalist.
Oh, my goodness. Now, when he said that, my first thought was, let's see how the media covers it. So let's take a peek at that. The root, Trump comes out as a nationalist. CNN, Trump used a word he's not supposed to. Let's define nationalism, all right? Loyalty and devotion to a nation, especially a sense of national consciousness, exalting one nation above all others and placing primary emphasis on promotion of its culture and interests as opposed to those of other nations. God, he's awful. Don't we, aren't we all in some way a nationalist, right? Like, I love my country more than I love other countries. Is that bad? Well, Chad, you got to understand he's white and he said that. Stop it. I love my country more than I love other countries. I don't hate other countries, right? I love England. Lived there for a long time off and on. Love it. Love it. Australia. No problems. Love it. In fact, people ask me, Chad, if you could move anywhere in the world, where would you move? I'd move to Australia. And I'll be like, g'day there. Here. Yeah, there we go. How about that? You like to throw some shrimp on the barbie? I love it. Absolutely. Got no problem with Japan, Germany, Sweden, Denmark, Hungary. I got no problem with you. Mexico, thank you for the food. Right? We can argue soccer all the time. Got no problem. I don't hate you. But I love my country. Nationalist has become a bad word. Why? Because of white nationalist. Because of, well, it's because of white. That's what he's really saying. It's about what? No. Look, there's nothing wrong with putting your country first, which we haven't done, right? There's a global world out there. Look, globalists, it's real. It's happening, right? We're intertwined in ways that we never thought 50 years ago, but that's what we are. It's tough to be an isolationist. But there's nothing wrong with putting your country first. Zero. Zilch. He didn't say, I'm only putting white people first, right? He didn't say I'm only putting cisgendered white males first. He didn't say any of that. He said, I'm from my country. But you can spin it however you want. Well, you can't say something like that because it makes everybody else feel uncomfortable? Get over yourself. Really, for the love of God. Speaking of countries.
We don't have borders. We don't have a country. We have to protect our borders.
I have no problem with that, right? So the caravan is growing. I don't know how big it is. I'm trying to figure it out. I want to say it's 7,000 to 10,000. And according to estimates, at the rate it's going, it should arrive December 1st. And what'd you get for Christmas? Guatemalan. Chad, you're a white nationalist jerk. I asked for an El Salvadorian. How much hate do you think we're going to get, Phil?
I'm waiting.
I'm sure. So it's interesting. I don't know. Like, by the time it gets here, I was talking to somebody today. I don't know how big it's going to be by the time it gets here. It could be a couple thousand people because some people are going to be lost in it. Some people are traveling through the caravan just to see what it's like, and they're supporting it. Other people, it's going to start to dissipate at some point in time because some people are going to head more towards Texas. Some people might head more towards California and Arizona border. I don't know how big it's going to be. And if it's going to be, several thousand people trying to come over at once. But we have to do, isn't it fair? I don't care if you're on the left, right? At what point in time do we say, we've had enough of this, right? We've had enough. It's time for us to really address these kind of issues. We have a system here, a real system, and most people don't understand that we actually have a system, and the system's pretty damn good.
You're either going to control the border or you're not going to control the border. And as an American, we have the most generous legal immigration system in the world. We have over 1 million people a year legally becoming American or getting American right to be in America. Most of them go on to become American citizens. So it's just a dishonest lie to suggest that we don't have a serious immigration program that's legal.
Yeah, we do. Now, that's Newt Gingrich. He goes on to say this, and I'm going to correct him here because in fairness, that's what we do. We try to look at the facts and the data.
Now, the problem we have is there are a lot of folks who want to break the law. And if you ever had open borders, the Gallup World Poll, I think the number for all of Latin America and the Caribbean was 179 million people would like to come to the U.S. This is just unsustainable.
Now, he's right in the numbers, essentially. About 160 million people would like to come here. If you took the next 4 countries where people would immigrate to, we outdo them all combined. Germany, Canada, United Kingdom, and France. Saudi Arabia, for whatever reason, 25 million people want to go there. It is what it is. 37 million people in Latin America would like to relocate to the United States permanently. Total about 150 some million, according to the latest World Gallup poll. That's a lot of people. That is a lot of people. People last night hit me, all over and text and tweeting at me, you're horrible, you're awful, all these kind of things. And I said, at what point do we say no? Right? Because that's a fair question. At what point do we say no? At what point do we say, okay, it can't be done this way? We're not saying no, you just can't do it this way. At what point do we get to say, no, we're going to say no to this one? And they're like, well, it's awful. It's a humanitarian crisis. I said, Yemen. Let's look at a humanitarian crisis. There are 13 million people facing starvation in Yemen right now in a civil war that is out of control, that the Saudi Arabians, by the way, are throwing lots of financing and weapons into. 13 million people that are facing famine. Not since Ethiopia have we seen anything this absolutely horrific when it comes to lack of food. It makes Venezuela look like they're at Sizzler all day. That's what it's like. Should we take all 13 million? Well, Chad, no, you're being stupid. No, don't make your argument about, well, these people are trying to escape this, that, and the other because they're having it tough there. The reason, look, if Yemen was next door, they'd be coming here, right? Do you understand? If these nations had an opportunity to walk here, they'd come here. We couldn't handle it all. Hell, we can barely handle the legal stuff now. Look how long it takes. We've got to figure something out. Now, Trump is out there doing what Trump does. He's using this as an opportunity to stoke the base. You're 2 weeks from today away from a big night, an election night. According to Nate Silver, 538, looks like it's about a done deal for at least the House for the Democrats, according to him. But, of course, in 2016, according to him, it should have been a her in the White House and not a him. And the reality is it is a situation where I still think they're going to win the House. I don't think it's going to be a big tsunami like a lot of people think. And I think they're going to pick up some Senate seats, which is going to be a nightmare. But Trump's out doing what Trump does because it's that time of the year where you're going out there and you're trying to stoke the base.
President Trump said he's putting the military on alert as thousands of people head toward the United States through Mexico. President Trump is calling the caravan a national emergency, and he's claiming criminals and unknown Middle Easterners are mixed in with the crowd. An important note, Fox News knows of no evidence to suggest the president is accurate on that matter, and the president has offered no evidence to support what he has said.
Yeah. But it's creating the boogeyman, as some people say. Of course it is. Of course it is. That's what you do. You create something. Remember what politics is. It's build the monster, whatever that monster is. It's the person on the left. It's the person on the right. It's this, it's that, it's the other. You create the monster. And then what you do is you say, I've created the monster. Oh, by the way, I'm also the only one that can stop the monster. I'm the only one who could stop the boogeyman. I'm the only one who could put an end to this. Do I think there's a bunch of people that are coming here from the Middle East? No. Would it surprise me if there were some people from other countries that are not, Central American? Yeah, I would be surprised if there wasn't. When I was down on the border, we were talking to the Border Patrol. We're in McAllen, Texas. We're down on the border right there in the Rio Grande. We're down there. And they're telling us we're seeing people from Bangladesh. We're seeing people from Pakistan. We're seeing people from India. We're seeing people from all over, from Somalia and several other countries that are coming here. And they're coming here. They're using the opportunity to come here. They know exactly what they do. They don't even try. They come up to you and they put their hands out because they know exactly what's going to happen to them. So would it surprise me? No. Are they automatically terrorists? No, but it's, again, creating the boogeyman. But as I told my friend on the left, as we discussed this today, good dude, I said, here's the thing you need to realize. Somebody sneaks across the border, right? And there's documentation. We've caught them, the whole 9 yards. They've used the system to come through the southern border. And they end up being part of a plot and or they pull off something that kills tens of potentially hundreds of people. You'll find people that who agree with you that maybe we should be more empathizing towards these people, saying, you know what, let's build a bigger wall. And that sympathy will dissipate fast. And he's like, I never thought of it like that. I said, yeah, because that's what happens, right? People are always full of empathy and sympathy until the situation changes and all of a sudden something bad happens and everybody's like, 10 minutes ago, they're like, oh, we should be nice. And 20 minutes later, they're like, you know what we should do is put snipers on top of the bigger wall that we were going to build. Is sure Trump's wall's big enough? Something to think about. It's crazy, though. It is. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenso. And it's the Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
A whopping $1.6 billion. That's what's got people heading to convenience stores all across the country to buy their Mega Millions ticket. Nikki Heitpass works at a Quick Trip in California.
It's been insane. Everybody's looking to win a little piece of the pie.
With a cash payout of more than $900 million, the odds of scoring your trip to the 100 Millionaires Club, about 1 in 300 million. But Eugene Priovec in Riverdale, Maryland, makes a good point.
More likely to get hit by lightning than winning it, but if you don't play, you can't win either.
That's exactly what it's all about, right? Half of the fun is The fantasy of the what if, right? That is half the fun. It's the fantasy of the what if. The what if I win? What if tonight I go to bed? Just a regular old dude hanging out, having fun. I wake up tomorrow after taxes worth $600 million gazillion dollars. What if? What? It's part of the fun. What would you do? What would you buy? What's going to happen? That's part of the fun. Speaking of what you could or couldn't buy.
In the market for a sports franchise, Forbes has valued every NHL team at or below $1.5 billion. 20 NBA teams would be within your budget. How about some real estate? The tallest building in Chicago, the Willis Tower, formerly the Sears Tower, recently sold for $1.3 billion. Education on your mind, the Iowa State Lottery says with $1.6 billion, you could pay for 1 year's in-state tuition for more than 200,000 Iowa State University students. Ryan Burrow, ABC News.
That's a negative, actually. Sports franchises would be great, but, you know, if I was going to get into the sports franchise world, and I may sooner rather than later, it's going to be esports. The value right now, it's either MLS or esports. NHL is probably about where it should be. The NBA is overinflated. People who buy these franchises, they're not living off their franchises. So you're going to spend all your money, and it's no. So if it's me, I'm going to get into esports because that's where I think the money's at in the long term because I want growth with my money. I want growth. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. What do you think? What are you buying? What's the first thing? And don't say house or this, any other. What's the first thing? Like, okay, I've taken care of stuff. I've helped people out. I've put some money away here. I've put some money away there. I've bought the house. But what's that first, like, thing? That one thing that you're like, that is so, I've always wanted that thing. What is it going to be? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Tonight, baseball is rocking. It's rolling. Yes, kids, it is the World Series. And speaking of something I wouldn't buy, perfect examples. I wouldn't buy a baseball team because there's no money in it. It's just not. I mean, it sounds horrible to say because you're like, oh, man, wouldn't it be great to own the Dodgers or the Yankees? If you owned them when you spent $300 million, it would be great. At $4 or $5 billion, what it might take, there's just no way. There's no money. These are trinkets and toys. These are like possessions. Like, this is getting you into an exclusive club. But the Dodgers and the Sox are going to play tonight. I'm feeling it. I'm a Dodger fan. And as a Dodger fan, I really want the Dodgers to win. It's been 30 years since Gibson and the home run. I'm thinking they're going to surprise the world. Even though it's the Sox and they're the best team in baseball, you've got to be the best team on the field for these next several games. And I just have a feeling that Dodgers are going to pull it out. Revenge for last year. 323-538-2423. Socialism. Can we finally put it to rest? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
When we do that, we're going to elect David and other great progressives all across this country.
Progressives. Progressives is a good word. You could say that. Socialists, don't say that word. The right says. The left says, no, it's a great word. You guys got to understand somehow how great this word is. It's a wonderful word. Why would you stop saying a word like that? It's a great word. And they keep telling you all the time how great it is. No, you just don't understand. It's the greatest thing in the history of the greatest. It's going to be great. This is where we're headed. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be just like Sweden.
Today, many Americans don't like capitalism. Socialism would be better, they say. Not repressive Russian or Venezuelan socialism, but democratic socialism, like what's practiced in Scandinavia.
I think we should look to countries like Denmark, like Sweden.
So what, you want to be like Sweden? Kinda. Sounds pretty good.
People interviewed in this just-released PBS documentary say America should be more like Sweden.
Volvos and socialized medicine.
Volvo is now a Chinese company.
Oh, wait a minute. Chank or whatever his name is, just, yeah, kinda. I want to be like the Young Turks in Sweden. Chad, you're being mean to Chank. So Sweden, you say. And every time I do something like this, what happens is I get all kinds of pushback, right? I get pushback because you don't understand. I get pushback. And it's funny because most of the time I get pushback from people who've never been there, who've never lived in socialized medicine, who've never done any of these things and don't quite get the entire thing. So this is a dude that is Swedish, and he's done a documentary about Sweden and socialism. Just wants to let everybody know, okay, look, let me tell you how this works, right? There's some things that you're like, oh, and there's other things you're like, oh, I didn't quite get that.
Welcome to Stockholm, Sweden. My name is Johan Norberg, and this is where I was born and raised.
Johan Norberg made this documentary because he wanted to set the record straight.
Sweden is not socialist because the government doesn't own the means of production. To see that, you have to go to Venezuela or to Cuba or North Korea. But we did have a period in the 1970s and 1980s when we had something that resembled socialism, a big government that taxed and spent heavily. And that's the period in Swedish history when our economy was going south.
What? Okay, so The left likes to tell you, no, we want to be like Sweden, right? We want to be like Sweden. It's going to be great. We're going to be like Sweden. We want to be more like Sweden. Sound fantastic. And I've always said, hey, knock yourself out. Go ahead. Go over to Sweden. They'll gladly take you. So, no, and I try to explain this to my friends on the right. They don't want to take things over, although I'm sure there's a few that would love to see certain things nationalized. No. What they do want to do is control through rules and regulations, though, to the point of having the government overlook everything. And that's an issue I have right there. So you hear Sweden, right? Like you hear Sweden and it sounds like a fantastic thing. It's going to be great. And all of a sudden they're saying, well, wait a minute here. This guy said in the 70s and 80s, they were like really a socialist country. And then it all went to hell in a handbasket. I wonder why.
So much so that even socialists complained about the high taxes. And yet even though taxes were high, they did not bring in enough money to fund Sweden's welfare state.
There were waiting lines to get health care. People couldn't get the pension that they thought that they depended on for the future. At that point, the Swedish population just said, enough, we can't do this.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just talk about some of their taxes back in the day. Astrid Lindgren, who was, she's the author of this book in this series called Pippi Longstocking. At one time, the marginal tax rate was above 100%. She was taxed at one time essentially 102% of she, by the time they broke everything down to what she owed, the whole 9 yards, and she was a socialist, if you will. And she said, no. This is ridiculous. And she actually wrote a thing called Pampasosa in Menisimiera, or Pampasora in the World of Money. It was a satirical story about a wicked witch in which the wicked witch was being chased by the tax man. What? Could you imagine that? That you're working so hard, and out of all of that work, you wind up with virtually nothing. So the socialists started complaining, saying, look, this is counterproductive. It's not going anywhere. You've nationalized everything. Everything's going to hell in a handbasket. What can we do? Finally, the light went on.
Sweden then reduced government's role. They cut public spending, privatized the national rail network, abolished certain government monopolies, eliminated inheritance taxes, and sold state-owned businesses like the maker of Absolute Vodka.
Lower taxes, reform the pension system so that it wasn't unsustainable.
The results from the spending cuts and privatization?
This impoverished peasant nation developed into one of the world's richest countries.
Yeah. They finally said, okay, we had enough. We got to take this away. It's counterproductive, right? All these people want all this stuff, and the problem is it's just not working. So let's privatize stuff. We'll have stuff, and we'll go free market. And remember, when I talk about somebody like Ocasio-Cortez, but let's talk. She's an aberration. She is an aberration. And I'm going to say this, and again, sex is horrible. She's kind of pretty. People in front of the cameras, and they like to talk to her because they know she's going to say insane and inane things. Where last week she compared the global warming to Nazism and all. I mean, she's going to say stuff that's wacky. People are like, she's great. She's not. She's young. She'll get there maybe one day. She'll have an awakening. Maybe she gets woke and goes, yeah, a lot of the stuff I was saying back then was full of crap. But here's the thing. People like Bernie, this is a guy who enjoyed Cuba long before we got a little footsie friendly with Cuba. Enjoyed the Soviet Union. Looked at their model. Wanted to understand and like those kind of stuff. Wants government to be the center of everything. And knowing full well that we're still a capitalistic nation. And even a lot of people on the left are like, don't take away our capitalism. Wants to look at a situation where they can come in and not be Venezuela by nationalizing everything, but having the government be over everything is kind of their dream. Now, Sweden, for all intents and purposes, and this is where the check comes in for everybody who's going to start sending me stuff. Here's your check, right? You can check your privilege right here. How free are they?
All I hear is that Sweden is this socialist paradise.
We do have a bigger welfare state than the U.S., higher taxes than the U.S., but in other areas, when it comes to free markets, when it comes to competition, when it comes to free trade, Sweden is actually more free market.
That free market pays for Sweden's big welfare programs.
Today, our taxes pay for pensions. You call it social security. For 18-month paid parental leave, government paid childcare for working families.
Yeah, it pays for a lot of those things, right? It does. It pays for a lot of those things. And those are things we can discuss here. I got no problem discussing some of those things. You're not going to get 18 months off. It's just not going to happen. You know that, and I know that. And here's the thing. In a world where we're going 1,000 miles an hour, I don't think too many people want to stop down and take 18 months off their career. That's the reality. Some people do. Some people don't. All right? But now it starts to get real. So this is what they want. Now, remember, Bernie and them, they believe that government can do it better. And if they can't make it a nationalistic thing where they take over some of these things, they want to be able to control some of these things. Well, guess what? Let's talk about some control. How well did government do in Sweden when they kind of ran everything?
Having the government manage all of these things didn't work well. So we had to manage it in another way.
They privatized.
We realized in Sweden that with these government monopolies, we don't get the innovation that we get when we have competition.
And this is particularly true for the school system.
Sweden switched to a school voucher system that lets parents pick their kids' school and forces schools to compete.
See, this is where the Bernies of the world and everything, this is where they're going to come out and they're going to want to pick and choose. Because the last thing they want to do is give schools an opportunity to compete with one another. Every state right now going to an election, there's going to be on a majority of those some sort of school voucher fight or funding fight that's going on. This is the nightmare they're happening. And while schools over there, private schools are good, guess what? Schools around private schools, because of the competition, have been forced to be better. Oh, Bernie didn't want any part of it. If you tell a socialist or a progressive or even a hardcore Democrat that you want a school vouchers, by and large, most of, not all of them, but most of them will say, no. No. Now, what about things like we get Social Security, they have pensions?
Privatize the pension system. That terrifies people.
And obviously that scares people. But when they realized that the alternative was that the whole pension system would collapse, they thought that this is much better than nothing.
What? Yes. And their pension system's very interesting. When things are going good, you get your pension and potentially a little bit more. When things are stopped down, you're going to get a little bit less. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because people look at it and say, well, I'd rather have 70% of something than 100% of nothing. And the way that it was going to completely collapse. But for all of you on the left who scream and yell about how they're able to do all the things that they're able to do when it comes to taxes and the fair share and the whole 9 yards, I've told you over and over, yet you don't listen. How does the tax system work over there? Well, guess what? Secret.
What Sweden does may surprise you.
Despite the fact that Sweden looks like sort of a socialist country which taxes the rich exorbitantly high, the truth is the opposite.
People who earn below average income pay up to 60% in taxes.
This is the dirty little secret about the Swedish tax system. We don't take from the rich and give to the poor. We squeeze the poor because they are loyal taxpayers.
Boom. It's a Ponzi scheme amongst the middle class and the lower income. That's it. The value-added tax, the 25% tax, the huge taxes on all kinds of consumer goods that allow them to pay for all of the things. They don't go and tax the wealthy exorbitantly because they know that they're money makers and they generate. And if you start to do that, they saw that in the 70s. What happens is they leave. So they had to find another way. And this is the other way. Income tax low, but the value-added tax nationwide is massive. And it disproportionately hurts the people that the left screams they want to help. Well, we could make the rich pay their fair share. What's their fair share? Every time I see a new study, it shows how much they pay towards federal income tax. What is enough? That's the thing. Stop telling me what their fair share is. Just once outline it. I want them to pay this. There you go. But that's a look into what it is in the world of, quote unquote, the Swedish social model, which isn't socialist at all. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Smart, not so smart. Let me tell you something. All right? I'd like to think I'm a smart cat, right? You're a smart cat. Let me tell you some stuff that's not smart. You go onto a job site out there, and you put your job out there, and you spend hours searching and sifting through awful resumes that don't fit any of the things you need. Not smart. Something that is smart. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Benson to hire the right person. Here, let me tell you why ZipRecruiter is the smartest way to go. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. They've got their powerful matching technology. It's going to go scan through tons and tons and thousands of resumes, identify the people out there with the right skills, education, experience for your job, actively invite them to apply to your job. So guess what? You get a qualified candidate fast through the site. ZipRecruiter is #1 rated by employers in the U.S. The rating comes from the hiring site Trustpilot, over 1,000 reviews. Here's what you guys can do, and this is extra smart. Try it today for free. It's on me. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Benson. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Benson. 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 ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. CHADBENSON. It's the Chad Benson Show.
While pointless pundits ponder what was, Chad wisely wonders, what's next?
John James was a Canadian rapper and extreme sports kind of guy, always pushing the limits. The Canadian press says he was shooting his latest video over the weekend, part of which involved him walking out on the wing of a small plane. His management team says in a statement that when James got to the edge of the wing, it sent the plane into a downward spiral that the pilot could not correct. James apparently held on until it was too late, and by the time he let go, he didn't have time to pull his chute. John James was 34.
Everybody wants to do stuff that's extreme. Like, it's a horrible thing, right? Like, the first time when I heard this, Phil, I'm like, play a stupid game, win a stupid prize. It's the first thing I thought of, Phil. God, Chad, you're such a Richard. You're an awful human being. Yeah, but it's like, what's his name? You know, like Jackie Chan, right? Was he? You know, people talk about Jackass and all that stuff. To me, Jackie Chan was the first because he did all of his own crazy stunts, right? Because we forget that stunts were done by human beings long before CGI. And then you've had Tom Cruise over the last several years who's, as he's getting older and apparently his Scientology told him it's okay, he's starting to do more and more because Xenu said it's all right. Probably gets Scientologists are so going to sue us for that. By the way, my name's Phil. My name's Anthony, and you can sue us all you want. You and your weird cult. Somebody better start my car before me. Chad. But it's no longer, it's like with selfies, right? You just can't do something regular. Like there's no more just, let's just take a picture, or even on a video. It's like, we can't do that because people are going to know it's fake. And I need the world to know that I'm doing stuff. And this guy, he's 33 too. It's not like he's 21 and like, I get that with 21-year-olds, but God, it's awful. Why would you do that? It's a question I think it's fair to ask. Why? Like, my thought when I first heard this is, it's like, first of all, rarely does this happen. Nowhere else does this happen. Like, rappers, they get shot and then they do stuff like this. But I thought, do you lose street cred if you don't do it yourself? Is that what it is? I mean, I'm trying to put it in my mind. I'm trying to think to myself, is there a street cred that you lose if you don't do your own stunt? I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's like the same thing with Tom Cruise. I'm always amazed that they let Tom Cruise do anything, because that's a lot of money. I know they have insurance. For those of you guys who don't know, they have insurances on movies. So let's just say in the middle of it, Tom Cruise ends up dying. They'll recoup all their money back. So there's not that worry. But still, you're killing a franchise there. Not that he's going to die. Xenu wouldn't allow that. Is it Xenu? I think it's Xenu. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know. Goodness me. They're probably coming after me next. Leah Remini, where are you? At Chad Benson Shows, your Twitter. 323-538-2423. Now she's got a show where she just goes and rescues people from cults. She's chasing down the Amish and, all kinds of people now. That's her new thing. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Putting America first, it hasn't happened in a lot of decades. We're putting them first. We're taking care of ourselves for a change, folks. But radical Democrats want to turn back the clock. Power-hungry globalists. You know what a globalist is, right? You know what a globalist is? A globalist is a person that wants the globe to do well, frankly, not caring about our country so much. And you know what? We can't have that. They have a word. It sort of became old-fashioned. It's called a nationalist. And I say, really, we're not supposed to use that word. You know what I am? I'm a nationalist, okay?
Oh, my God. How dare he say that? That is awful. Trump has said it. What is a nationalist? According to Merriam-Webster, loyalty and devotion to a nation, especially a sense of national consciousness, exactly. One nation above all others, their nation, placing primary emphasis on promotion of its culture and interests as opposed to those of other nations. So you listen to Trump and you hear that, and then, of course, out comes everybody on the left to damn him across the board because he is evil. That's exactly what he is. He is evil based on this.
I'm a nationalist. Nationalist. Use that word. We're going to talk about that word tonight. It is a favorite of the alt-right and is loaded with nativist and racial undertones. And globalists, well, globalists have been used as a slur. of sorts, sometimes even against those in the administration, often with anti-Semitic overtones, which has happened to make the president come right out and embrace nationalism openly.
All right, so he's a nationalist, but according to the left, that's a dog whistle for the white nationalists that are out there that are coming. Now, Trump spoke about this today, right? Because he does what Trump's like. Hey, quick! I need to talk to people about this. I need to talk to people. Don't understand what I'm saying. People they don't get it. They don't understand. Here I am. Here I am.
I'm proud of our country, and I am a nationalist. It's a word that hasn't been used too much. Some people use it, but I'm very proud. I think it should be brought back.
All right. That's a dog whistle. That means you're a white nationalist. I heard when you were talking, I heard through it all because you were talking to me. The sound waves were coming, but I could peer through those sound waves, Trump. I could peer through them, and what I saw was Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Brotherhood. It was all coming at the alt-right. You are a white nationalist.
I'm a nationalist. No, I never heard that theory about being a nationalist. I've heard them all. But I'm somebody that loves our country.
Yeah. Nah. You're a white nationalist. We get it now. We get it. We get it. We know exactly what you are. I lived in Europe. Loved it. England was my second home. If England would have gone to war, I would have fought with England. Except if they would have fought with America. I'm an American. I love my country. I want my country to do great. Not just cis white gendered males. Nope. Everybody, black, white, green, orange, purple. I want everybody to do well. I love my country. 'Tis of thee, sweet land, O liberty. I love my country. In this day and age, words matter. Globalism. Oh, God. People are like, oh, globalist is bad. And then, you hear Don Lemon. No, globalist is good. It's how it's perceived. If I say something and you take it a different way, but it was not meant that way, in the end, it's now on me. That's the thing that's driving people crazy. Is it wrong that he loves his country? What if he said he was a patriot? Then people would have been pissed. They would have found some reason to be angry at him. Some reason to come after him, Chris Cuomo.
And more, we see the president playing to an undercurrent in this country, rejecting moves in our culture toward sensitivity, toward minorities, political correctness. He sees that as hype. That's why the man who said during the election he would protect LGBTQ folks from foreign enemies has decided to create the law at home as an enemy, messing with Title IX, playing the religious liberty game.
Find a place to get mad. It's easy to do. Look, I understand people are worried out there, but why are they worried? Just out of curiosity. Because the media beats them over the head 24 hours a day and talks about what a horrible human being Trump is. What an awful human being Trump is. How he only cares about old white men. How he doesn't care about the United States the way he wants to go back into the 1800s. He doesn't want to go back to the 1980s. He wants to go back to the 1880s. This is, and you're told this. You build him up to be a monster. Much like what Trump and a lot of, because we're always looking for a boogeyman. So that's what politics is. Find the boogeyman. Who's a boogeyman here? Who's a boogeyman there? Where's the boogeyman? The boogeyman's over there, right? The boogeyman's right there. What are we getting today? Right? We're getting people coming out and talking about who's in the caravan. Pence and everybody coming out saying, oh, there's all kinds of people in this caravan. There's terrorists and there's all kinds of stuff. Well, yeah, no. Back it down. Now they've come out and said, well, we don't really know. That's the baloney that happens. Why? Because you're trying to gin up everybody. You're trying to gin up and get people excited as the elections go. So what do? You pit one against the other, and there's these people here are bad people, and everybody in here is just evil, and there's some bad people inside of there. Look, 7,000 people, there's probably some people in there that are some bad hombres, as Trump would say. Absolutely. Again, if you take 7,000 people and you put them all inside of an arena, there's a good chance that some of the people inside of that arena aren't the best human beings. But to say that they're catching tons of people every day, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that.
I'm a very non-political person, and that's why I got elected president.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not why you got elected president. You got elected president because you talk jobs, and you were a reaction to what was out there before, which was President Obama. But to hear them talk, again, that's their boogeyman. The left's boogeyman is Trump. And what do? You elect me to fight that monster. And if you're over here and you're Trump, you're like, what do? You continue to keep us in power so I can keep you safe from these monsters. It's a game. And then every once in a while, you throw something else out there, right? Say, for instance, tax cuts.
President bringing up the tax cut again. The timeline's changed a little bit. Can we expect this to happen anytime soon, if at all?
Well, the timeline, just 2 weeks until the midterm elections. And forget about trade for a second. The president wants to talk about taxes. Take a listen to what he said.
This is in addition to the very substantial tax cuts that the middle class has already gotten. So this will be a 10%. It's going to be a resolution probably introduced this week, the end of the week, or early next week.
So he's got this tax cut coming out of nowhere, and, it's caught a lot of people off because a lot of people on the right were like, wait, what? He's doing what? Why is he doing it? Oh, this is Trump. Trump's trying to look, the middle class, he's looking at that. We don't want them to get hit. We don't want them to get hurt. And potentially that could be a possibility. And so we better figure some stuff out. And is this a possibility to do something like this? Well, I think it is a possibility.
Now, because of the fact that the economy is doing so well, we feel that we can give up some more. I couldn't have gotten that extra 10% when we originally passed the plan. We maxed out.
Yeah, how very Reagan of him. That was Reagan's big thing, right? What was Reagan? Get what you can now, we'll get the rest later. Get what you can now, we'll get the rest later. Trump may not be a politician, but he understands politics a lot more than people get. And it's interesting. It is. It's interesting. And to watch the people, like right now, they're debating it. Trump calls himself a nationalist, denies racist undertones. Of course. Of course he does. I don't think he meant it the way that a lot of people think. But when you're looking for something, and that's the big thing, if you're looking for something, you're more apt to find it. Even if it's not there. You're going to swear it's there. You go out every night and you look in the sky and you believe in aliens and you go out over and over again and you see something, you're more apt to believe it. In this day and age of words and things being spoken and tweeted, it is how it's being received that's more important than what's being said. And if you're looking for a reason to be pissed and angry and to always come hard at something, it's easy to find. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We'll talk a little Khashoggi a little bit later, more of the caravan as well. And then a birthday party. And my cynicism's going to come in. A kid, a birthday party. Wait till you hear the story. It's like, you'll get it. You'll get it. It's your cynicism will be there, but then sadness will be there as well. AMAC. No sadness here. Free membership for you and you and you and you and you. If you're over 50, free membership, year membership right here. It is right in front of you. Are you ready for it? Who is AMAC? Association of Mature American Citizens. They're working for you big time. They offer alternatives just about every benefit that ARP offers, but without the liberal agenda. You become an AMAC member right now. You're going to get a free 1-year membership. AMAC.us/Chad. You like those tax cuts? They're going to fight hard to keep those tax cuts. You want to get rid of the Affordable Care Act? They're going to advocate on your behalf to get rid of that. Do you want government-run health care? Yeah, I didn't think so. That's what AMAC's going to fight for. Common sense immigration reform? You betcha. AMAC is amazing. And did I mention it doesn't cost you anything? Oh, no. Not a penny. All I want you to do is go to amac.us/Chad. You're going to get a free membership. They don't even want your credit card. It's amac.us/Chad. They're going to be out there working for you. Join right now. 1 year free. amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad. AMAC is better for you, better for America. A birthday party? Cynicism in Chad's voice? What? Chad Benson Show.
Darn, that climate change. Batten down the hatches. It's Topical Storm Chad. Headed your way.
All right, I'm going to tell you guys this right now. I'm cynical as it comes, but at the same time, I want to believe, and then you don't want to believe, but then you do want to believe, and it's a tough situation. You got a kid, a birthday party, and lots of no-shows.
This story, it just kind of breaks your heart, right? You know, children, they love their birthdays, especially when they're young. They look forward to it. Well, a kid in Tucson, he was crushed when nobody showed up to his party.
Yeah, and his mom, as you can imagine, any parent would be just as heartbroken to see your child going through this.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So you got this kid, nobody shows up at his birthday, right? And apparently, and I say apparently, mom invited a ton of people.
Here's the story. We're talking about Sil Mazzini. Shared this photo of her son's birthday party. Look at this. An empty table, and that is 6-year-old Teddy just sitting by himself at Peter Piper Pizza. Oh, that face!
Yeah.
It is just heartbreaking.
And it is sad. You look at this kid, and he's just like, oh, my God, this totally sucks, right? It sucks. Mom invited a bunch of people, and people didn't show. But then you start going, okay, wait a minute here. Did really nobody show? Or is mom trying to elicit sympathy? And we've been debating this all day here. You know, it's like, yeah, maybe. And then there was this whole thought process that mom is trying to get stuff out of it because when people see stuff like this, it's human nature to want to be able to help. It's so hard to say. And I've become one of those people where I'm cynical, but with a caveat.
The empty table and obviously a very disappointed little boy. The family invited more than 30 of Teddy's classmates and no one showed up.
The first thing that came to my mind is, well, Teddy must suck. And Chad, you're an awful person. 30 kids didn't show up. And then the thing that came to my mind is, well, wait a minute here. There's no way like 30 kids just don't show up. Just no way. Like that is. And then I was reminded, even though Jack showed up, and my thing with Jack is you're going to these things. You may not like it, but you're going. Somebody takes the opportunity to invite you to something. They think highly enough of you to invite you to something. You're going to go. And Jack there was a party where Jack was, I don't know how many, maybe 20 kids were invited. Jack and another kid showed up. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. They're like 20 kids. And they made the best of it. They had a great time. It was great. And even when, and my thing is too, it's like, you know, too many kids RSVP and then they don't show up, which drives you crazy. I don't care if you're an adult or a kid. It still drives me crazy. And yes, stuff can happen. But in saying that, even for me, if Jack can't make it because there is something, because things do happen in life, we always make sure we get a little something for the kid. But I looked at this, and the first thing that went through my mind is, oh, that's awful. It's horrible. And then I started thinking to myself, well, is it mom? Is she playing a game and kid doesn't understand this and she's looking for stuff because everybody's coming out the woodworks?
But how about this? The Phoenix Suns, they saw Teddy's story and they posted this on Twitter. How about we celebrate with thousands at our place? Tickets to Wednesday's Suns versus Lakers game is on us. It's all yours, Teddy.
So he gets to go see Bron and the Lakers play. He's going to go see the soccer team in Phoenix play. So he gets to do all of those kind of things, Phoenix Rising. But it to me, I just felt, again, I felt like it's horrible, it's wrong. And then the cynicism came out and said, well, wait a minute here. Is it wrong that mom did something? And why would she post it? Then I realized we post everything nowadays. It's tough to say if it's true or not. But have I seen it? With Jack, I have seen it. I've seen him show up and be one of the only 2 kids out of 20 plus that were invited, and it does suck. It absolutely does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Khashoggi, man, this story changes a lot. We're going from left to right, right to left, up to down, Middle East, Southeast, up. I'm over here. I don't even know where we're at anymore. Talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Trump is scary. What do I tell you people on the left, all right? What do I tell you people on the left? Don't let him live rent-free in your head. Don't let him do it. But somehow you allow him to do it, including an Alameda man who set up a Halloween decoration that, how should we say this, is meant to scare the world.
It's a spooktacular Halloween display, but it's one the creator says has a frightening political message.
The administration is basically the scariest monsters we can think of, so that's why we do the Halloween display like this.
It's the scariest monsters you can think of. And is it scary, Daniel?
If you're walking by these Halloween decorations, it can be pretty scary. This one is supposed to be Senator Ted Cruz. He's supposed to be the most punchable face in America. The most controversial one, though, might be this one. It's a baby in a cage, symbolizing the separation of families under President Trump's immigration policy.
It's rent-free. Can't let him live rent-free in your brain, right? You can't. And I don't get it. I've never got it. I mean, people say, how often do you think? I don't think at all. Trump doesn't affect my life on a daily basis like a lot of people. They allow them. Hillary and the Clintons didn't affect my life on a daily basis. It just didn't. I mean, first of all, local politics, and you guys know this better than anything, that is going to have a bigger effect on your life. But it's the emotional side that people allow to get in there. And I've just never understood it, right? It's like people who live in an echo chamber and who don't have friends who have a different political viewpoint. We've gotten so tribal that that's become the case. And I have never, ever understood that. I haven't. It boggles my mind that we can't, because I like politics, right? I do, but I like other things more than politics. I'm going to say that right now. My big lizards, I love them. Winston, my big lizard, way more important in my life than, and this is an animal. I'm not even talking about humans. I'm just talking about other stuff, right? Because your kids will always be more important, no matter how much you love politics. It's always been more important than politicians. But I'm just talking about other stuff, right? My big lizard, Winston, far more important than Trump. Far more important. These issues I like to talk about and deal with because I do think they have an impact, even if it's a trickle-down impact, that we should discuss. But the emotional side of the way that people allow Trump and other things to get inside, it's flabbergasting.
For Daniel Balsam and his wife, this is a very, very Halloween part duh.
We were hoping he'd be impeached between years 1 and 2, but the material just keeps on coming.
What do you bet he's a man feminist? What do you bet? You take that bet, Phil?
I'll take the bet.
Yeah. I'm feeling he is. We're hoping he was going to be impeached because that's the insanity of it all. It's not going to be impeached. It's not going to happen. It isn't. But that's the craziness. That's where they go.
For the most part, the material has his neighbors chuckling.
Funny, but sad and true. I'm glad that he's decided to use his voice to kind of state his opinion, to share how he feels.
Yeah, I'm super glad too. I am. Because, this guy is the most unpopular guy in the history of unpopular guys in the history of unpopular guys. I mean, never in the history of presidencies has anybody been unpopular like this, especially when we had the most beloved president in the history of beloved presidents who was here just before him.
Well, despite a slate of recent controversies, President Trump's approval rating is inching up ahead of next week's midterm elections. Now, a new Wall Street Journal poll shows that 47% of likely voters approve of the job he's doing. That's higher than President Obama's approval rating going into the 2010 midterms.
What? What? That's impossible. He's the most beloved human being of all time. I don't think he's Catholic, but they're working out a way to not only give him the second Nobel Peace Prize, but to also saint him. He's the most beloved character in the history of human... Oh, God, there's no way Trump can be as popular, if not more so. That's got to be a typo. It's funny, right? Living rent-free.
Even kids are getting a kick out of these Halloween decorations. The spiders are a big hit, but so is the star of this elaborate attraction.
Why do you like Donald Trump?
Not the real one. He just dressed up.
The display has grown compared to last year, and Daniel fears it will get even bigger next year.
It could be worse. I don't know if we've hit bottom.
But wait a minute. He's more popular. He's more popular. It makes me laugh. And again, it's the rent free in your mind, right? I'm just going to allow this to happen. I'm going to be so obsessed. I can't do it. I got other things going on. I do. And this is my job. It's crazy, though. It really is. And it's so funny when you listen to it, because I've talked to so many people who the narrative is what? Because 90% of the coverage is awful. And remember this. A lot of what is the coverage has nothing to do with policy, has all to do with personality, has nothing to do with actions when it comes to the political side of things, has all to do with who the person is. You may find somebody awful as a human being, but their work and their actions say something different when it comes to their actual job performance. We forget. We go and we look at history in a much different way when it comes to past presidents, right? I mean, Bush got people looking at Bush more fondly, and part of that's because they don't like Trump. They're like, oh, at least Bush was this, that, and the other. But that's the way that people approach it. It's so different because we look at it in a different way. But with President Obama, the media was always starry-eyed. Minus Fox and Breitbart and a few other, you couldn't find anybody have a negative word against Obama. And yet, when you look at the people that matter, the voting public, they're like, yeah, he's doing a pretty good job. And they're like, well, wait, this is the typo, because it says that people approve. It says it says that, yeah, but the typo says that he really is. His approval rating's higher. Oh, wow. That's crazy. No, that's the reality of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Rand Paul was talking out. So this whole Khashoggi, Hahagi, whatever they call. I mean, every time I turn somebody on, depending what accent they have, his name is different. But I talked about Rand Paul the other day and the things that he's saying. First of all, apparently Trump is fuming and is pissed at the Saudis and the way this thing has gone down. And it is getting uglier and uglier. And Erdogan has come out talking about this.
The information and the evidence that we have so far collected indicate that Jamal Khashoggi was slain in a vicious, violent murder.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think we know that. Now, people are like, why is this a big deal? Why is some guy who was a journalist who hung out with bad people, who said some things that were awful at times, gets a pass, and somehow we're all supposed to care about it? I said, well, it's not just... think of it like this. It's not just this. There are so many other things because MBS, the guy, the prince, the things around the prince that have added up to it, whether it be the way that he's treated many others, the way that he's violently crushed dissent or anything like that, the way that he's extorted money from family members, that apparently he's locked up his mother, and he's done so many things. That's the fear that people have. This is just the straw that is breaking the camel's back, if you will. That is the issue that people are having. It's not just one, because everybody's looking at it in the micro. Why should we care about this? It's not just this. It is so many other things, and this just happens to be maybe the final straw for a lot of people.
To think, oh, this was just an accidental death. You send a forensic pathologist with a bone saw just in case you might have a fist fight where you have to dismember somebody. I mean, how horrific. But then also having a body double. I think there's a lot of reasons to think this was planned. And I think because they have such an authoritarian government, nothing over there happens that's not directed from above. You don't act without orders. So it's kind of stretches credulity to think that the Crown Prince wasn't involved in this.
Yeah, absolutely. 110%. We were too easy to say, we'll give credibility to the story, and people are starting to step back and say, well, maybe, even now Trump and them are questioning it. You heard Jared Kushner yesterday saying, look, we're looking into everything. More and more people are saying stuff. And don't take this just as this story. And I think that's a lot of what's happening is the journalists obviously are concerned because they're seeing somebody who's working for the Washington Post and somebody who's been a journalist for a long time, who's an influential voice in an area of the world that doesn't have a lot of influence when it comes to more modernized, progressive ideas. But think of it across the board in how that this guy has gone and handled things, while in some ways he's saying, look, I'm going to hand you guys more freedoms. In other ways, he's cracking down over here. He's doing the magician. Don't look at this hand. Don't look at this hand. Don't look at the, because you're over here looking at this hand, and this is the hand that's doing something. And that's what's got a lot of people worried.
Now, Saudi foreign minister attacked you for implicating the Crown Prince. Here's what he had to say.
I find it very surprising that somebody 6,000 miles away can be certain about an event that happened 6,000 miles away with no access to information or intelligence. So this is a judgment call on the part of Senator Paul. This is not based in fact. It's just based on emotions and based on speculation.
How stupid do you think we are? I mean, we were all born at night. It just wasn't last night.
What's your response to the Saudi foreign minister?
I think he's got a lot of gall to lecture the United States about presumption of innocence. The Saudis currently have over 3,000 people being held without any trial, without any presumption of innocence in their prison. These are political prisoners. They have nearly 1,000 of these prisoners have been there for more than 3 years. They recently, in the last year or so, killed a Shia sheikh by the name of Nimr al-Nimr. They're holding his nephew, who's been in prison and is supposed to be in prison for life, for attending a protest rally. So, no, the Saudis shouldn't be lecturing anybody about the presumption of innocence.
No, they shouldn't. This is a joke. This is. But when you hear people talk about this and why there's anger, understand it isn't just about a singular thing. It's the worry that this guy, who we're going to sell arms to the tune of $110 billion, are taking some of those arms and they're using them in Yemen and doing some other things. The way that he's treated not only dissidents, but look at the way he treats his family. My God, he's put them in hotels, held them hostage, and extorted billions of dollars from him. And while he's giving the women the right to potentially have an opportunity to drive down the street, maybe or maybe not by themselves, and to go see a movie and have the WWE, at the same time, he's cracking heads. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us, Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what? Somebody just texted in and says, man, Rand Paul sounds sharp. Rand Paul is sharp. But where was this during the primaries? And I'll tell you where it was. Rand Paul is a smart guy we were taken back by somewhat of the cult of personality that was Trump, and he got lost in the mix. He did. He got lost in the mix. And Trump might be what we need now, but going forward, he might not be what we need. But he was the answer to Obama because of the reactionary world we live in. The pendulum swings from one way to another. And so it's like Ted Cruz. I wouldn't want to debate Ted Cruz. The guy's brilliant. In saying that, it doesn't always translate, right? It doesn't always translate to the big picture when it comes on a massive scale. And I think Rand Paul's going to have another run at it eventually, and I'm interested to see where he goes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. The excitement is everywhere.
A whopping $1.6 billion. That's what's got people heading to convenience stores all across the country to buy their Mega Millions ticket. Nikki Heitpass works at a Quick Trip in California.
It's been insane. Everybody's looking to win a little piece of the pie.
With a cash payout of more than $900 million, the odds of scoring your trip to the 100 Millionaires Club, about 1 in 300 million. But Eugene Pryovic in Riverdale, Maryland, makes a good point.
More likely to get hit by lightning than winning it, but if you don't play, you can't win either.
Absolutely. Got to have fun, got to play, and this brings out everybody. This is the kind. This, to me, I was telling somebody today, it reminds me of church, right? People that go to church on Christmas and Easter, it's the same thing. People who come out when it gets to this point.
Have you been playing to this point?
No, it's the first time.
What's the reason you decided to play this?
I figured, might as well.
Do you play any certain numbers, or do you just do random?
I always play my numbers. Regular numbers all the time.
As opposed to the different numbers. He plays the regular numbers, Phil. Do you understand that?
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, you were in line today with somebody who was just playing their numbers. That's all they want to do is play their numbers.
All she want to do is play her numbers.
That's it. Play their numbers. It's exciting. It's absolutely exciting. And the question is, what are you going to do if you win? That's the big thing. What you going to get?
In the market for a sports franchise, Forbes has valued every NHL team at or below $1.5 billion. 20 NBA teams would be within your budget. How about some real estate? The tallest building in Chicago, the Willis Tower, formerly the Sears Tower, recently sold for $1.3 billion. Education on your mind, the Iowa State Lottery says with $1.6 billion, you could pay for 1 year's in-state tuition for more than 200,000 Iowa State University students. Ryan Burrow, ABC News.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy a sports team. I would buy an esports team, but I wouldn't buy because you just can't afford it. And you got to think it might be worth 1.6 now, but after taxes, you're walking away with maybe 600 million. So think about that just for a second. But you'd buy something cool. You would. Hey, you know what you could do? You could buy right now. It's not going to cost you that much, and it's going to be a life-changing event. A MyPillow. Now, why do I say that? Because I never slept. I sleep better than I've ever slept before, and the reason is simple. MyPillow. MyPillow, MyPillow, MyPillow. It is incredible. I get a night's sleep like you could not believe. Let's take a look at my little watch here. Last night, I slept almost 6 hours. I went to bed extremely late, got up extra early, and 5 hours of that was absolute out like a light sleep. That's what MyPillow can do for you. And when I have a chance to sleep 8 hours, I get 8 like never before. Get rid of the lumpy pillows. Get a MyPillow, 100% machine washable and dryable cotton. Buy one, get one free. 10-year warranty right now. Are you ready for it? Call 800-983-4975. 800-983-4975. Use my promo code Benson or go to mypillow.com. Mypillow.com. Promo code Benson. BENSON. You're going to buy one. You're going to get one free. It is the world's most comfortable pillow, and you're going to sleep like you've never slept before. 800-983-4975 or mypillow.com. Use promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. CHADBENSON. We've got it all going on across all forms of media. Chad Benson Show TV is where you can check out the YouTube. We've got everything else and then some from Facebook to the old Instagram and everywhere in between. Join the program. Love hearing from you. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's The Chad Benson Show.
Putting America first, it hasn't happened in a lot of decades. We're putting them first. We're taking care of ourselves for a change, folks. But radical Democrats want to turn back the clock. Power-hungry globalists. You know what a globalist is, right? You know what a globalist is. A globalist is a person that wants the globe to do well, frankly, not caring about our country so much. And you know what? We can't have that. You know, they have a word. It sort of became old-fashioned. It's called a nationalist. And I say, really, we're not supposed to use that word. You know what I am? I'm a nationalist, okay? I'm a nationalist.
Oh, Nelly. Trump saying he's a nationalist. What? Oh, white nationalist? According to some, he's just coming out now and saying it. He's a white nationalist. He's a white nationalist. You knew he was a white nationalist. You absolutely knew it. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Let's break down nationalist, what it means. A loyalty and devotion to a nation, especially a sense of national consciousness. Exalting one nation above all others and placing primary emphasis on promotion of its culture and interests as opposed to those of other nations. Now, people are saying, no, what he should say is I'm a patriot. I have patriotism. I see people tweeting out. A nationalist is a person who hates other countries. Unlike Trump, what he said was, I'm putting you guys first. I'm putting America first. I'm going to put words in my mouth. I'm going to go out and say it. That's what he said. How it's taken, and remember, we live in a day and age where it's no longer what is said, it's how it's taken. How do you take it? If he says I'm a patriot, somebody will say he's just saying he's a nationalist, just using something different, right? Remember thug? We all know what thug means. When you say thug, you mean young African-American man. That's what you mean. It's how it's taken. Is there a better word to use? Hell yeah, there is. In this day and age, yeah. You got to understand. But Trump doesn't care about that. He doesn't. He doesn't care one bit about that. There's nothing wrong with loving your country. Zero wrong with loving your country. You know, I lived in Europe off and on for a decade. When I was in England, I was as English as anybody else, except when they played America in a sport or something. Then I was an American. Then I was. Not a patriot, right? Just an American. The way that Trump said this and set it up gives all the fuel to the fire that the left needs to come and do the things that they want to do. Because just as Trump, as they say, is stoking the fires of fear and all of these things when it comes to what's taking place with this caravan, the left does the same thing and they use Trump as the boogeyman. Right? That's what he is. He is the boogeyman. He's evil. He's bad. He's come to eat your soul, to steal everything. At night, he's going to take your kids to the woods. That's what they do. That's the game that they play. So Trump coming out and saying, I'm a nationalist, it says, see, he's a white nationalist. He finally said it. Now, he didn't say, I hate other countries. I love my country first and foremost. Do you love your country? Yeah, you do. I don't hate Australia. I love Australia. I love England. I love Scotland. Those are places I've lived. Absolutely love it. People ask me, what's the greatest place you've ever been in the world? I say, I love Scotland. It's so music. Glasgow's incredible. Oh, my God, I had the best time in the world there. Doesn't mean that I hate another country. It means that I love my country first and foremost. There's nothing wrong with that. There's zero wrong with that. In a day and age that we live, it's about how things are perceived. And I think that's just it. How things are perceived. How are they perceived? How are you taking this? How are you looking at this? How are you feeling towards what somebody said? Well, I feel bad. Well, it wasn't meant that way. Well, I feel that way, and that's all that matters is my feelings. Just as much as they say Trump is stoking the fires of hate and evil when it comes to this caravan, I look over and laugh and say they do the same thing on the left. It's Trump and his supporters is they make them out to be absolutely evil.
We are a country that our strength has always been that we are a tolerant country, that we are welcoming, in particular, of those who have fled harm. And the idea that we're vilifying any one group and the fear-mongering, that's not in the best interest of our country.
That's Kamala Harris. Shocker. We're vilifying. We're doing all of these horrible things to these people. It's off. No. This caravan is coming here. Trump is using this to stoke some of the fires out there that he thinks may have been doused when it comes to the excitement that was there at one time for Kavanaugh, but has seemed to kind of dissipated, as that will happen as we move just 2 weeks from today towards election time. So, yeah, Trump is definitely using some of that. Are there bad people inside the caravan? I think we've talked about this before. You put 5,000, 10,000 people together. At some point in time, you're probably thinking to yourself, yeah, there's probably some people in here that aren't the best people. Does it mean they're bad? Take it for how you feel. Maybe there are some bad people in there. Oh, the majority of them probably good people who just want to get away from wherever the hell they're coming from, and they're frustrated at this? 100%. They're frustrated with their country. They're pissed at their country. They're angry at their country. Their country's failed them. Their leaders have failed them. You get where I'm going with this. Each side needs the other side to be the boogeyman, right? I always say this, and this is the analogy I use. Go watch the Avengers, right? So you go watch the Avengers. So you're there watching the Avengers. Without the bad guy, it's just a bunch of people with superpowers hanging out doing normal stuff. What are you doing today? I'm doing laundry. Oh, got to get something to eat. Going to check out Facebook, maybe tweet a little bit. It's only when the monster shows up do they become something else that people are like, whoa, they need that. So both sides pit each other against each other. Trump is using this as an opportunity to excite the base. I understand that dirt.
A caravan like this, weeks before a midterm election, seems to serve the president's interest more than the Democrats.
I think it's much more likely that Donald Trump is paying for this than for George Soros to be paying for it. This is exactly the worst kind of thing to be happening in a moment like this, because what it does is it gives another talking point to Donald Trump. Look at these invading hordes.
Of course, they're going to use that. Who wouldn't? Just like the other side uses Trump as an evil human being. He's evil, 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 evil. So him coming out saying I'm a nationalist is a perfect opportunity for people on the left to go, see, this is the boogeyman. Cis, white gender men are the only people that have any opportunity in this country. You saying that in itself is a privilege, and I don't think people understand that. But it's the perfect place because now you've got your boogeyman. Trump supposedly is using the caravan as a reason to say, look what's coming, and Trump is like, it's full of boogeyman, blah, 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 go out and vote, 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 vote. And the left is going, see? He is the boogeyman.
I'm a nationalist. Nationalist. Use that word. We're going to talk about that word tonight. It is a favorite of the alt-right and is loaded with nativist and racial undertones. And globalists, well, globalists have been used as a slur of sorts, sometimes even against those in the administration, often with anti-Semitic overtones, which has happened to make the president come right out and embrace nationalism openly.
How it's perceived. Do I think Trump is the grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan? I do not. Do I think he says things at times that infuriate me and many other people? Absolutely. Do I think he gives two about what many people think about him? No. Do I think there's hidden messages and stuff? I'm sure there's hidden messages in everything if you look for it, because you want to find a hidden message. So even if one's not there, you're going to find a hidden message. And that's what people wanted to do here. If he would have came out and said, I'm a patriot, I love our country, they would have found a reason to go, see what he's saying there? Patriot is really code word for nationalist, which is really code word for white supremacy. because you're looking. And when you look, you tend to find. If you believe there are aliens and you look in the sky every night and you see something that you've not seen there before, you're thinking it's a spaceship. Why? Because you want to find an alien. That's why. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. So, CarShield is amazing. Incredible. I've been telling you guys this for a long time. I don't think you guys quite understand how cool it is. And it never was more evident to me than when I took my car in. I got a new car, and it's a used car because I don't buy new cars because that's the kind of person I am. So I take my car in, and I got this new car. And they give you this thing and they say, oh, here, you should get this. And so they hand me this pamphlet and I look at it and I was like, this is awful. I have CarShield. Well, can CarShield do all of these things? I said, CarShield does all of that times 10. You're telling me I have to take it to a certain place? This company is? CarShield lets me to take it to the mechanic I want. You don't give me 24/7 roadside assistance. You give me some, and there's no rental car for free on here. Well, no. That's what CarShield does. I actually sold the person that was next to me buying their car on CarShield. You should do the same. They make the entire process of cover repairs so easy. So do what I did and so many others are doing. Get yourself covered by CarShield. Get extended vehicle protection. Call 800-CAR-6100. That's 800-CAR-6100. Use my code Benson or go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Check out all the plans. When you do, use my code Benson. It saves you 10% right there. That's 10% off when you use my code Benson. A deductible may apply. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
So, Sky News saying that they have found pieces of the journalist. Man, this story's just nuts, right? This is just the whole thing is crazy. And we touched on it earlier. Stop looking at it from the lens of only this one thing when it comes to the Saudi Arabia. Look at it from the bigger picture, which is this is one of many things that the new prince has done. And that's kind of the issue that people are having. This may be the final straw from the way that he's handled his family members and other ruling party members by holding them hostage and extorting money from them, to including imprisoning his mother and some 3,000 or who knows how many dissidents, the political dissidents that they have put in jail and are holding hostage, and the way that they're cracking down, plus what's going on in Yemen and several other things. So don't look at this as just this person. I think too often we get caught up in it. It becomes this thing. It's just this. It's not. It's in many other things, but because you weren't paying attention, most people aren't. You're going about your life. You're hearing about this, but it's bigger than just the Jamal Khashoggi. It's much bigger than that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of things that are much bigger, I don't know how big it is. I mean, think about how many people fly and how many incidents there are on air. But we've got the latest situation, and it has some racial undertones.
I'll tell you this, if you don't go to another state, I'll push you to another state.
Everything was calm, we were getting ready to take off, and then a man came on board and arrived at his seat and then spoke very harshly to a woman that was sitting in the aisle seat.
I tell you, I hope somebody kicks her, because I don't want to sit next to your sticky face. You're ugly.
Oh, so you got a guy who sits down, and then there's somebody in between those, like there's an empty seat, and he's screaming and yelling that hopes somebody sits there. That's not you. And what's funny is, like, they're not even American, and Trump will get blamed for this.
Next thing I knew, a lady came from the back, who was the woman's daughter, and an argument started.
Yeah, shout at her! Don't tell me what to do. If I tell her to get out, she gets out. No, she won't. If you saw him out, you don't be rude and talk to her like that. Who the hell are you, old tramp? No, you didn't. I heard you don't shouting. Tell me what to Shut do. up. Get back to your seat. Shut up. Get back to your seat.
You know what I like? Did you hear the guy's like, whoa, dude, this is going to get gnarly. And by the way, this is on Ryanair, which is kind of like, it's like Spirit. It's got the spirit of, it's a flying white trash. Chad, you're being mean. Ryanair doesn't have the best clientele, as you can tell. It's a very cheap airline. And so then he continues on, and it gets a little more racist-y.
Then what you saw on the video took place. Just a disgusting exchange of racial slurs.
Don't talk to me in a f***ing foreign language, you stupid ugly cow. I will carry on as long as I can with this ugly bastard.
God. What's amazing is only one person steps up. And I think we're in a world today where everybody's afraid to do something because you never know, A, who's filming it, because everybody's filming. They're more, I guarantee you, while one person may have stepped up, 50 people filmed it. Right? And that's a problem. And the other thing is, in this day and age, everybody's afraid to get involved because the minute you get involved in something, you never know what's going to end up happening and how in some way, shape, or form you're going to get blamed for something. It's frustrating. But when did we get to this point where this is how we deal with one another? Were we always, my sense is that there was a lot of this going on. We just didn't have the cameras. The cameras have just, everybody's out there showing everybody, take a look at this, take a look at this. And that's kind of my sense, is that it's always been going on. It's just now we film it and talk about it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Okay, socialist. There's a new documentary out, and it's going to talk about how great it is to be a socialist. Absolutely. Or is it? Interesting. Straight ahead, Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
All right. Every time I do this, I get all these people who defend socialism. So socialism's the hot thing, right? Now they're telling everybody, run at socialism. Don't hide from it. Socialism. So we need to be Sweden. We need to be Sweden. We need to be Sweden. Yet the people that say that, first of all, they're a monolithic society, right? Minus a few things. That's what they are. There's not a lot of diversity, right? You see all these countries. You don't see a ton of diversity. Just want to point that out. So you want to be more like Sweden. There's a new documentary out talking about Sweden and the excitement of socialism that's wrapped around the Scandinavian model.
Today, many Americans don't like capitalism. Socialism would be better, they say. Not repressive Russian or Venezuelan socialism, but democratic socialism, like what's practiced in Scandinavia.
I think we should look to countries like Denmark, like Sweden. Say, well, you want to be like Sweden? Kinda. Sounds pretty good.
People interviewed in this just-released PBS documentary say America should be more like Sweden.
Volvos and socialized medicine.
Volvo is now a Chinese company.
Who's that? That's the guy that made the documentary. By the way, he's Swedish.
Welcome to Stockholm, Sweden. My name is Johan Norberg, and this is where I was born and raised.
Johan Norberg made this documentary. because he wanted to set the record straight.
Sweden is not socialist because the government doesn't own the means of production. To see that, you have to go to Venezuela or to Cuba or North Korea. But we did have a period in the 1970s and 1980s when we had something that resembled socialism, a big government that taxed and spent heavily. And that's the period in Swedish history when our economy was going south.
Wait a minute here. No. And I love this because I'm going to get a bunch of text messages that really, Chad, you're not getting socialism. You're not understanding. It's about all of these things. Well, yeah, the reason they have all of these things is because they do all of these other things. And I don't think you understand that. I don't really think you're getting it's the reason they're able to do a lot of those things isn't because of the things that you actually think.
So much so that even socialists complained about the high taxes. And yet, even though taxes were high, they did not bring in enough money to fund Sweden's welfare state.
There were waiting lines to get health care. People couldn't get the pension that they thought that they depended on for the future. At that point, the Swedish population just said, enough, we can't do this.
Yes, we can't do this. It's not working. What we thought was going to work wasn't actually working. When socialism was a part of their actual culture, like a real part, not bits and pieces of it like socialized medicine or whatever, when it was just, hey, this is who we are and the government's going to run everything and it's the end all to be all, guess what happened? It all went to hell in a handbasket.
Sweden then reduced government's role. They cut public spending, privatized the national rail network, abolished certain government monopolies, eliminated inheritance taxes, and sold state-owned businesses like the maker of Absolute Vodka.
Lower taxes, reform the pension system so that it wasn't unsustainable.
The results from the spending cuts and privatization?
This impoverished peasant nation developed into one of the world's richest countries.
Yeah, it did. And you like taxes, right? Taxes are great. Astrid Lindgren, who is the lady who wrote Pippi Longstocking, who was a huge socialist until the point, now get ready for this, producer Phil, her tax, 102%. That was her tax. And then she said, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. This is ridiculous. She actually wrote a story about a witch that was being chased by the tax collector. That is incredible. So they go and they privatize, right? They privatize stuff and they said, hey, you know what? Let's get a little bit freer. Let's do some free stuff.
All I hear is that Sweden is this socialist paradise.
We do have a bigger welfare state than the U.S., higher taxes than the U.S., but in other areas, when it comes to free markets, when it comes to competition, when it comes to free trade, Sweden is actually more free market.
That free market pays for Sweden's big welfare programs.
Today, our taxes pay for pensions. You call it social security. For 18-month paid parental leave, government paid childcare for working families.
Yeah, that sounds great, right? But here's the funny thing. So we talk about stuff. We need more parental leave. We need this, that, and the other. We need all of these things. It would be great. Here, when you hear Bernie and a lot of these other people, what is it? They want the government to be a huge part of what they do, right? So you want all of these things, and it's about the government. The government. Let's let the government be the end-all to be-all. How about the government being the end-all to be-all? It's always turned to the government. The government needs to take more control. The government needs more of this. The government needs more of that. This is what's great about everything is the government. Sweden.
Having the government manage all of these things didn't work well, so we had to manage it in another way.
They privatized.
We realized in Sweden that with these government monopolies, we don't get the innovation that we get when we have competition.
And this is particularly true for the school system.
Sweden switched to a school voucher system that lets parents pick their kids' school and forces schools to compete.
Yeah. How good is that? This is what's interesting about that. Private schools have gotten better. Schools around private schools have gotten better. Could you imagine? Because we scream unions and we have all of these kind of things that are going on. All of this stuff is happening and we can't have school vouchers and we don't want competition. We can't take money away from here, this, that, and the other. And the reality is the place that we're screaming about. If you told Bernie, they've gone to a voucher system. I don't want to do that. Of course you don't want to do that. You want to pick and choose. The hubris of it all is that we can do it better, because what you really are advocating for isn't so. You want kind of what they have, but you also want a bit of what the Venezuelans have, in the sense that you want to make everything go through the government, when the Swedes are saying, first, we're free market. There's nothing about us to socialize at all. I mean, we have socialized methods, but we're not a socialist nation. And you're always saying that. We're always having to correct you. Denmark is correcting you. Everybody's correcting you. And then we're privatizing the Social Security, which I found to be rather interesting.
Privatize the pension system. That terrifies people.
And obviously that scares people. But when they realized that the alternative was that the whole pension system would collapse, they thought that this is much better than nothing.
Yeah. No. And how they do it over there is, when the market is good and life is good, you get more. If the market takes a bit of a hit, you're going to get a little bit less. But the alternative was, you can have 100% of nothing, or at times 100% of good, and sometimes 50% of not so good. Oh, jeez. Well, Chad, then it's really all about taxes, right? We got to tax the wealthy, wealthy, wealthy. Something I've been screaming back over and over. People who don't understand the way that the VAT system works and the entire system over there works, they don't understand it. It's all about taxing the wealthy here. That's all we hear. The 1%, the 5%, the 6%. And then even you'll go look and you can see how much money the 1% pays and the 5% pays and the multimillionaires and blah, blah, blah. It's still not enough. It's about the redistribution of wealth. But here's the dirty little secret, children.
What Sweden does may surprise you.
Despite the fact that Sweden looks like sort of a socialist country which taxes the rich exorbitantly high, the truth is the opposite.
People who earn below average income pay up to 60% in taxes.
This is the dirty little secret about the Swedish tax system. We don't take from the rich and give to the poor. We squeeze the poor because they are loyal taxpayers.
Yeah. They're loyal taxpayers, because people who have a lot of money are going to figure out a way to get around it. They're going to figure out a way to leave, because people with a lot of money are what? They're mobile. They can go elsewhere. So what is it? It's the VAT. Value-added tax. Everybody participates in that. But the people who are at the bottom end of the income world disproportionately get hurt by that. We don't want that here. Right? We don't. We want all of the goodies. We want all of the trappings. We just want a certain group to pay it. I was arguing with somebody yesterday, and I didn't want to start it. They started. I was like, I don't want to argue about this. But the thing that makes me laugh is the people who scream trickle-down economics doesn't work are the same people who say, we want trickle-down economics, but we want to be able to do it from the government standpoint. Sweden has a lot of good stuff. Europe has a lot of good stuff. We should learn some of the things they have. I understand that. So when you hear the Bernies of the world come out here and scream and yell about this, that, and the other, understand what they're really saying is, we want more control from the government side of things. We want more regulation from the government side of things. We want the government to be the end-all, be-all to your world. That's what we want. How we're going to get there is by floating all of these magical programs and saying that we're going to be the Robin Hood of the world by taking from the rich and giving to the poor, just like Europe does. Then you find out the reality is that that's not the way it's done. Essentially, the middle class and the lower incomes rob each other and pay each other. That's the Ponzi scheme that goes on over there. Disproportionately, it affects them far more than everywhere else in the income stratosphere in Europe. They don't get that. They don't understand that. And even if they did get it, they don't want to. It's like everything else. You can hit them in the face with the facts. They don't care because they want it to be something else. Having been in Sweden for several months, it's beautiful. It's great. Everybody kind of lives the same. Almost looks like a cartoonish village at times. Like, am I on a set in a movie? It was wonderful. Do I see a lot of innovating? No. Not like here. But they're going to push it in a way that makes you think you're going to get all of these wonderful things if only these people would do it and they would pay their fair share. And even if you show them they pay more than their fair share in certain areas, and they're never going to pay the amount that you really want. And that should be the number. Stop telling me what a fair share is. Give me a number. that you want somebody to pay. Remember this, and I say it over and over again. The greediest people you will find are not in Wall Street, but they're in Washington. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Casper, it's a mattress, baby. Love it. Why do I love it? First of all, I sleep cool. I'm a hot sleeper, right? I think a lot of you guys out there are. It's hot, you know. You're asleep, and your wife or your girlfriend, whatever, and you're like, you want it cold, right? You go to a hotel. What's the first thing you do? You turn it all the way down. You like it cool, and that's part of that sleeping thing. This is where Casper helps you. Secondly, for me, it's my body. The way that my body's able to recover, I feel great because I do work out, and for years I put my body through the test playing sports, a lot of sports, and it's great for me, my back, my legs. I feel amazing. So this is what Casper's doing. It's a no-brainer situation. 100 nights risk-free. What you got to lose? It's risk-free. Here's what they do. They send it to your box. You call them up, right? You go to Casper.com, use my code Chad, and you have $50 off selected mattresses. So you do, and then they send you this thing. It comes in this box, and you kind of walk around and you go, how is there a giant mattress in this box? It just doesn't seem right. You open up, there comes the mattress. Then you try it for 100 nights risk-free in your own home. And you check it out, and you're like, wow, this is incredible. It's risk-free. What are you waiting for? No risk to you, chance for you to get sleep like you've never had, and what it's going to do for you is incredible. Trust me, I know. Go to Casper.com, use my code Chad, save yourself $50 off the purchase of selected mattresses. That's Casper.com, code Chad. Get $50 off the purchase of select mattresses. Casper.com, code Chad. Terms and conditions apply. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. Your useless fact of the day, straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
We're on 57th and 9th right now. This is the hottest bodega to buy it. We walked over here from 5th Avenue. We're 100% going to win.
You walked all the way here from 5th? Why did you come to this bodega?
It's lucky.
Yeah, people are going to try to win the lottery tonight. And what did I tell you? I started talking about socialism and the whole 9 yards and getting people chiming in. Why do people need this much money? Why do people? It's not about that. Not about how much money. I think what everybody thinks is every day somebody like Bezos wakes up and goes, how much money do I have today? He doesn't even think about money anymore. He's too busy doing other things. Elon Musk is too busy doing other things. Right? Well, somebody's going to win all this money. Yeah, that's what the game is. The game is somebody's going to win this money. That's why people are playing the lottery. People are playing the lottery. Somebody's going to win this. Could be me. Could be you. It might be nobody yet. But somebody will eventually win that. And it might be several people that end up winning this thing. But I love how it's like, well, why does somebody need that much money? Okay, answer me this. If you told me you could only make X amount of dollars, what's my incentive to make more? What's my incentive to do more? What's my incentive to grow anything? Well, the incentive is what? Take all the risk so you reap the rewards. That's life. It's exactly what it is. And people say, it should be. Hey, I laugh at this stuff. To me, it makes me laugh because they don't understand it. A lot of people on the left who are excited about like socialism stuff, you don't get it, right? It's about the competition. It's about if you put 100 people in the room and you gave everybody $1 and you come back in a month, you're going to find 8 to 10 people that have most of the dollars. Why? Because that's life. It's the way it works. People are going to figure out a way to get that. They're going to offer services and do things. And people are going to go, here, take this. Everybody always thinks somebody's wealthy, that they wake up and they're like, hey, did you hear what happened? So-and-so robbed everybody on earth to make themselves a billionaire. It's not the way it works. It's ridiculous. It's about achievement. And a lot of times when you achieve, along with the achievement comes money. But money, and if you ask most of these people, it's secondary after a while. Once they got comfortable, it becomes secondary. It's the achievement. But when you start taking away, well, you can't achieve anymore, and you can't make any more of this, but you got to take all the risk, people say, you know what, I'm out. You want me to take all of the risk with none of the reward, and also the entire time you're going to demonize me as if I'm a bad human being because I've been successful. I find that to be ridiculous, and it's frustrating. It is. So when I hear all these, Bernie's out here in Arizona today, and he's out there, and he's going to be, there's too many people, 1%, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be his spiel. What he wants is, he wants the power. He wants government to have power. He wants them to set the regulations. He wants them to set everything. He doesn't want the market to be involved unless it's at a very small level that they can control. Because that's what, in the end, it's about that, the control. People want to pick and choose what they want. Sweden's great. Denmark's great. They're like, you know what? You're talking out your ass, Bernie. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You don't. But why should somebody not win tonight? They don't need all that money. It's not about need. It's about this was the game set up. Right? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Here's your useless fact of the day. Two founders of Portland, Oregon, Francis Pettygrove from Portland, Maine, and Asa Lovejoy from Boston, said we're going to name this either Boston or we're going to name it Portland. 2 out of 3 of the coin flips went for Pettygrove. They called it Portland rather than Boston. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. Tacos tonight, kids. Night, night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.